The candidates for Senate that are present today with us are Michael Oxford and Eric Tao. We will begin with a 30-second introduction. We'll begin with Mr. Oxford.
Hello, San Benito County. Thanks for being here. My name is Michael Oxford, born and raised in San Jose, California. I'm a tradesman, and my claim to fame is getting fired for not wearing a mask. I was on a job site in Pacific Heights in San Francisco, refused to wear a mask, got fired, made a video about it, ended up on Tucker Carlson. Since then, I've been unable to find work, and that's a problem. There's discrimination taking place in our state for employment, and that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Mr. Tao?
Good evening, San Benito. Thank you for having this wonderful forum. My name is Eric Tao, spelled T-A-O. Before you forget everything, just pick the shorter name when you vote. All right. That aside, I've been a computer science professor for 25 years. Some of your kids went to CHUMB. I'm very proud to co-build that school, and also we built a computer science program. If you look online, it ranked number 5 in the nation. So
Thank you,
I'm
Mr. Tao.
running.
Thank you. For question 1, we will begin with Mr. Oxford. Local elected leaders complain about the state mandating projects, but not providing the necessary funding. This is not a new problem. How could you, as a state leader, make sure state and local governments work together more effectively?
The state needs to get out of the way. It's really that simple. If state mandates a project and then dictates that this project has to be built with certain materials that cost astronomically more amounts of money, this is the state dictating how much things cost. How many of you out there are happy with your electrical bill right now? No, okay. Offshore wind, this project, we're gonna have to pay for this up front. And that's the exact example of what they're talking about. The high-speed rail project, mandating your houses be built to state-specified standards that jack the cost up of everything. The state needs to get out of the way.
Mr. Tao, you have a minute and 30 seconds. Same question.
Yes, thank you. The mandating project without providing funding need to be rejected, need to be thoughtful. And the reason why we have a lot of those, including the housing, is if you haven't noticed, over the last 30 years, we only have a one-party state. There is no healthy debate in the Senate or in the Assembly. So it should take in local control and also have to have a healthy, thoughtful debate in the legislature. Our democracy does not work when we have a full generation of 80% or 90% one party. So to save our local control, to make sure the state doesn't mandate things without thoughtful thinking, we need to make our democracy healthier. So let me give you a quick example. We're seeing a lot of communities say, your city, you need to build 2,000 the underpriced or the affordable housing, and that you should do the same. That does not work. Let the market, let the community decide. Some community want to say, I want to keep my character. I want to be rustic. Some communities say, I want to do high density because we want to grow our economy. Let different regions work together instead of say, every place, you got a cookie cutter solution, you got a cookie cutter solution. None of them
Thank you,
work
Mr.
for
Tao.
us.
Thank you. For the second question, it is a community question. We will begin with Mr. Tao. Residents are voting on Proposition 1, a new bond measure to support housing and services for the homeless and mentally ill. Is long-term borrowing the right tool for the crisis? What is your position on Proposition 1 in general?
Thank you for the question. Proposition 1 is dangerous. It lowered the bar that which will tax you more. Our problem is not enough tax dollars. Our problem is where do we spend the dollars? When we have a hospital that couldn't serve our residents, tax-paying residents, and we spend $3 billion on our new uninvited guests. How is that policy going to help us? The Proposition 1 is another way I can already see that. It will increase our tax, only have a much lower threshold to tax you, but that money will be spent in a way that doesn't benefit you or me or our next generation. So I'm against that lowering the taxing voting threshold. We need to preserve our tax dollar. Our solution is to solve the problem of wasting spending, not more tax.
Thank you. The same question for Mr. Oxford.
Yeah, it's not going to be much of a debate here. We're kind of on the same page with this issue. But people talk about homelessness and housing, affordable housing, and they conflate the issue all the time. We have a homeless problem, but we also have an accountability problem. We can't be allowing people to openly use fentanyl and whatever drugs they choose on the streets. We can't allow people to be dealing on the streets and repeatedly arrested and just let right back out. And many people are unaware that a lot of the dealers in San Francisco are illegal immigrants from Honduras that have been arrested repeatedly, and they're not deported. We do not cooperate with immigration in California, being a sanctuary state. That needs to change. If you're here illegally and you get arrested, you need to go. Bottom line. Housing, we need to make more of it. Again, state needs to get out of the way and let us build. People need to be able to build on their own property. And people that behave horribly in public need to be arrested.
Thank you. For the third question, we will begin with Mr. Oxford. The county had trouble providing temporary emergency housing during the floods of 2023. San Benito County has few resources. What could you do to speed up the process to provide funding to counties so emergency victims get help more promptly?
Well, we're going to have to cut funding from other services. Where state we have a huge budget shortfall, don't we? So, well, it'd probably be good to make sure that flood doesn't happen in the first place. That was a failure of the levee. So we should probably put some money into our water infrastructure. That would help. And yeah, that's what I would suggest. Make sure that prevent disasters before they happen.
Thank you. Same question for Mr. Tao.
That part I agree with Oxford. So we can have a system. If you look at federal, there is a system. You put reserve into an emergency fund, and you set a system when our community facing natural or man-made disaster above a certain level, the fund will be released. It will be automatic. The system should be already there. It probably just take the governor a few hours, look at the situation, the emerging fund is already there. But the caveat is this: we are running out of emergency fund. We have $65 billion in our budget. And if you look at back, about 10 years ago, our budget is almost only half of what we have right now. Our population is decreasing. If you haven't noticed, big companies are laying off people in California, and they are moving to other states. Why is that? We need to make sure our budget, our tax is reasonable. And come back to the question. We need to make sure we have an emergency fund, have a system to release that, not in a matter of days when people need those in that hour. So emergency fund, a system, and make sure our budget is spent wisely so we can have that emergency fund to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move forward now with the closing statements. You have 1 minute. We will begin with Mr. Tao.
Thank you again for this opportunity. I love America and I love California. Some of you have the luck to be born here. I chose to come here. Right out of college, my dad said, you have to have a plan for your life. I said, well, it's a great country called California, United States, and a great place called California. But over the last 10 years, we are entering a darker time. Our crime, our education, our taxation is going to the area, we feel very worried. I have 2 kids, wonderful, all grow locally, go to public school. I feel that we need to balance the state into the middle. I am looking for a solution-based candidate. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to fight for you. The other side is all devil. They are not. They just misguided. We all want the same thing, but we want an actual solution, not just a fight, the left and right and red and blue. The fighting
That's your
end,
time, Mr. Tao.
solutions are not solved. So vote Eric Tao. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 1 minute, Mr. Oxford.
Sorry, Eric makes me smile. So, to be quite frank with you guys, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be running for office. I was perfectly happy going to work every day, being a tradesman, going home and trail running, and coaching cross country. That's what I was perfectly happy doing. But like many of you, I lost a lot these last 4 years. I lost family, I lost friends and family. I was ostracized from my community. Tons of people don't talk anymore, all because I refused to inject myself. And people behaved very horribly over these last 4 years. And I think people are coming to grips with the fact that they didn't need to behave that way. And my entire career was ruined because of this. And so were many others, hospital workers, state workers. Lives were ruined because of an ideology. And that's why I'm doing this, to stand up for the people whose lives were ruined. And also, I need to get in the way of some of these insane projects that they have. This offshore wind project that they have in mind is going to ruin California.
Thank you. That's your time. Thank you, Mr. Oxford. That concludes for the questions for Senate candidates. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.